Hello and welcome everybody. We are live here with our finally into playoffs Platinum League at Zero Gravity Gaming. I am Thousand Eyes. On my left is Gavin back from his trip. And how are you feeling, Gavin, after a nice long break away from Zero Gravity?
Oh yeah, spending 26 hours in airports and airplanes was fantastic. It really energized me and prepared me to be ready to tackle this series. Let's go.
Yeah, and this is going to be a great series for us here as we are going to be getting underway here. As I actually may or may not have the wrong. No, I do have the right microphone. I don't know why it's blowing out. It's weird. Anyway, we are going to be getting underway soon here as we are setting things up. Be patient. I am running both the stream and casting at the same time, so things are going to be a bit interesting tonight, but it is going to
Doing a
be.
great job.
Thank you, thank you. So far, I have pushed one button. As
More buttons than I've pushed.
that's true. That's true. More buttons than you ever push. But we should be getting underway very shortly here as I'm going to give the teams the go ahead to start the draft. And what are we looking at here, Gavin, for the night?
I really want to say that we're going to see some interesting picks, but probably not. I think they're just going to play pretty standard, solid team fighty comps. When I was doing my op.gg research among the players, it was a lot of there weren't any picks that stood out, like sometimes if you're anticipating like we're gonna bust out the Yone or something like that, you'll see a lot of those games as practice, but like didn't really say that much. So I mean, there's a couple interesting ones that aren't super common. Like I think maybe we'll see a Shen. We don't see that a lot, but I think it's really good, strong right now. But yeah, so a lot of team fighty oriented comps, I think, because none of these players play particularly off meta things. The Zac ban, I'm actually really glad to see. Um, GSG's jungle is really, it's good, but Zac is so good at ganking lanes and just it's kind of crazy how strong he is right now. It's so easy to get all of your lanes ahead, and if you're playing this team fight style comp, getting those lanes ahead is going to be super crucial. Tempo is so important right now in the game because as soon as you like give up an inch, those objective bounties can start rolling in and you can lose your whole advantage. So really like that. Jinx first pick, love Jinx. She's kind of just the best AD carry right now, period. So like if you're gonna first pick it, it's fine. She doesn't do particularly badly into anything. Yeah, don't see it a ton. Do really like it. Again, in these team fight comps, being able to set up that wall where nobody else can go in and you can is super great. Very Sun-oriented team on their part. You got Leona in this here. Again, also really good at team fighting. She's just, again, a solid engage champion that can set up team fights really well. The solo flare is going to be really important in locking down that Jinx, or just stopping the front line and letting Azir and whoever they draft in the AD carry position to pound on the front line.
Yeah, the Leona will be locked in, and it is going to be a Lux lock in response. So maybe trying to get a little bit more aggression, a little bit more power for this Jinx in the early game to give her space in order to start popping off in team fights. So this
I
is
think I think
interesting.
it's a Lux mid.
You think?
I think it's a Lux mid.
Okay,
I
how,
think
how
it
confident are
plays
you
well
in this?
about 80%.
Okay, that's pretty
Yeah,
confident.
boom, there we go. Their mid player plays a lot of Lux, and also it's pretty solid into his ear. Like you're not gonna win that matchup pretty hard, but like she's fine, and she like it's still good long range engage in team fight, and again that's what we're looking for in this series. So yeah, and then another team fighty champion in Misfortune, so they do have a pretty solid lockdown comp right now. You know, Azir diving in, doing a little Shreema shuffle, and then
Mhm.
just drop the stun on him and throw bullets at him. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, major team fight composition being set up for GSG, but GNE definitely have some, tip for tat here with the Rakan. Has a really solid engage opportunity and can also stuff a lot of engages that do come in from somebody like the Azir. If you charm him, stop him from really doing what he wants to do in the Shurima Shuffle, that can cause some issues, as the Camille is actually going to be banned away from by GSG rather, and that is going that's an interesting one to me, because Camille seems to be the real big, matchup here that you want to pick with something like an MF.
So I do like it because they're on red side, and red side having last pick for they either want to save their last pick for top lane. Yes, that's so right now it's huge in LCS and pretty much everywhere. Top lane is so important in being able to get that counter pick. So eliminating those picks that you maybe don't have answers for is going to be really good. And again, more team fight. So I think they may go into like I don't even like maybe a gangplank or something, because that's something that can survive in lane. You have that scaling and still really good at team fighting. I thought we were gonna see it. He does play Kane a little bit. I didn't want to say it and jinx it, but yeah, love that. But yeah, so they're gonna save counter pick for top lane. It's really smart to just clear out those things you maybe don't have answers for. The team comp for Genie, I have a feeling that's gonna be blue Kane, because I have a lot of pick comp, and I expect them to just maybe take like an Orin top lane or something like that, or a set that you can build a tank. Because you do still need that engage, you need that bit of front line. I feel like I could go either way with the Kane red form. It's gonna be interesting who GSG pick to counter this set though.
Yeah, this is going to be a top laner for the final pick, as we have gotten pretty much everything else decidedly locked in. But with GSG's composition so far, no, that's not getting locked in. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. GSG's composition really does have just kind of one thing that it wants to do, and that is team fight. That is wombo combo, get in the middle of a fight, and use all the AoE damage that they have. Whereas G&E, I see a lot more flexibility in their composition, even if it doesn't have that level of strength in that one option that it does have in terms of, skirmishing.
Yeah, so GSG's comp is like it can be dangerous to draft something that can only do one thing really well, but also if it's really easy to do that thing, it's going to be pretty easy to win, because it's so like they have so many different points that a team fight can start from, that it's going to be so easy to just layer that CC on top of each other. And then on the side of G&D, their comp has a lot of pick potential, but also a lot of engage, because usually what happens when you have that long range engage that like a set ult kind of does, where you're moving like, because he's already in the front line, so if you go too far in the front line, it's often pretty difficult for the back line to be able to like deal damage, and then you're kind of just, your tank gets blown up before you can even follow up. So I really like what they have here, because Rakan has so many dashes, he's going to be able to follow the engage. You've got the Lux ult and her stupid range, she's still going to be able to do damage. Jinx's range is nuts, she can throw an ult in there if someone's low. And Kane can walk through walls. So like, I think they actually have also drafted a really strong pick or a team fight comp, but theirs has a little bit more flexibility in that it's a pretty heavy pick comp too. Because if you get Lux snared or if you get Rakan knocked up, there's so many different layers of CC to follow that. And then as soon as Jinx gets one kill, there she goes. So I do really like both of these comps. I think GSG's is a little easier to pull off, which can be a huge benefit if you don't have that high level macro ability to, work together in team fight like that. So I think I get the slight edge to GSG, but honestly, it's going to come entirely down to how well these guys play in the early phase.
Absolutely, here is it is just going through the motions of locking everything in, not really expecting anything weird in terms of swaps around. But I think one of the big things that we're looking at is this Kayn. This is a red form Kayn, like decidedly, right? It's not going to be anything else. You're not going to be seeing anything in terms of the assassin Kayn or that's just troll into this composition, right?
I disagree. I think there's a strong argument for Blue Kayn. His team fighting is stupid. He has easy access to the backline, which if you're playing into a Misfortune, you super need, because he's able, like, Misfortune sets up a zone, and you're not allowed to play in that zone, right? So, yeah, like he's able to find these weird angles that you're not going to be able to anticipate as Misfortune, and she's immobile. So like, you can do either one, and then there is the option of going purple form. So like, I until we load into game and see the runes, I really don't know what form he's going to go, because there's super good arguments for both. Okay. I feel.
Can you explain the concept of purple form to me? Because this is not one, I don't play Kayn. I don't understand how that champion works. I have not heard of what purple form is.
Yeah, so purple form is when you go blue Kayn, but you build red items. So you're like, you have the mobility and the AoE team fight of a blue Kayn, because that just ability to dance around with your E, because it's a flat 8-second cooldown when you go blue form. It's nuts. But then you go like Gore Drinker and Sterix Gauge and like Titanic Hydra and all those items. Probably Death Dance is the new one because they changed Bruiser items, and Purple hasn't seen as much lately. But like, it's an option where like you can just go blue form, and then if you're like, okay, well I want to go an assassin, you go assassin items. Or okay, well I need a little bit more team fight survivability, then you go the purple Kayn. So it's a cool option that's like a middle of the road between red and blue. That's why it's called purple, because blue and red.
Lurple.
Color theory.
Color theory. The thing that you are extremely obviously knowledgeable in.
Oh yeah, blue and red makes purple. Got it.
Give me another color combination here, Gavin.
Red and yellow makes orange.
He's insane.
Blue and yellow makes green.
This is why we have him as our color caster, because he knows the colors inside and out. He does his job incredibly well, Gavin, everybody. So now the one last thing that I do want to touch on here is the Azir pick, because Azir, known for being a pretty mechanically complex champion, and a champion that is hard to make work in terms of a competitive environment due to the strong weaknesses that he has and the level of execution that is required in order to make him work. What are your thoughts on this, especially going into something like a Lux that can pretty easily poke him out in the early game?
So I feel like his laning phase is actually like almost his easiest phase, as long as you're not playing into something that has the ability to punish your early game. Lux doesn't really have that. As long as you dodge her binding, you're fine. So a lot of his difficulties come from, it does take him a while to ramp up in damage over these team fights, and I feel like they've drafted around that perfectly. Like, they've identified the weakness of that champion and just drafted straight to compensate, because you have so much lockdown and space creation between the Jarvan wall, Misfortune ulting in a certain direction, she puts Make It Rain slows an area, so like there's so much ability for him to pick a spot and just stay there for a while, because everyone else is going to. But that's also why I like G&E's comp, because they do have good front to back if they want to, but they also have really good long range engage to get on top of Misfortune and Azir. And I think so that's probably going to be like the catalyst of which team wins the fights, is if you can't pop that back line, it's really hard to out DPS a Misfortune ult and Azir. But if you can get back there, I don't really think there's much recourse for them. So yeah, it'll be interesting, but I do like the Azir pick, and I don't think it's going to be too difficult to pick off, to play, especially if you go the more AP burst heavy build. So like if we see common, that'll be a big indicator for it.
Yeah, well, we are going to take a quick break as we load into the game, guys. Do not go anywhere. We are going to be right back, and we will see who takes game one of the night of our quarterfinals. everybody. We are live for game 1 of the night, as the teams are going to move out and about onto the Rift for game 1. It looks to mostly just be the spread out, everybody taking their lines. First strike, gold advantage for the Lux so far. Game is over. Let's go next, as G&E are going to win game 1.
GG. The solid 10 gold, literally insurmountable. I don't know what you're supposed to do into that.
I mean, it is a massive percentile gold lead in comparison to what other games will have at this point.
So I said if Azir went Comet, that would be a pretty big indication that he's gonna be just going like straight AP. But he did go Airy, which is basically the same thing. You're playing for the pokey like early game so that you have some damage threat that doesn't take time to ramp up. This mid lane is going to be like a lot of them trying to poke each other because Lux also took first strike. So good indication they want to do some early trades, make these mid lane mid game laning phases pretty spicy.
Yeah, as things are just going to even out, just going to be the as expected kind of starts for both junglers, as they are going to start on the top side set, not leashing, going for letting like Kayn do his thing.
Oh, that's actually really smart. So if you've ever played Kayn or played probably against Kayn, you know he's kind of famous for just like being able to do Raptors camp really easily by himself. So you pretty much always start Raptors. But what they did here is because Set didn't leash and their bot lane looked like they did, they're gonna think that he started Raptors, went to red, and then went topside.
Oh, level 2 coming in on the bot side here, and then it's going to be a little bit of a push. Continue on about your Kayn, because I know trying to get you to stop talking about Kayn is a process in and of itself.
I would do this if this were any jungler. That's just really smart a play by a team to enable their jungler for success. But he's doing a full clear working towards bot lane, so he's going to show up bot even though they think he's going to start going top. So that's actually just a really smart little small thing that can potentially lead to something fun, and is maybe a little indicator that he is planning on going purple form. Because if you go bot lane, you're probably going to hit Misfortune, and then you can also go mid lane and hit Azir, and both of those are ranged champions.
Day I learned.
Yeah.
First strike also on the MF, but the engage coming through. Flash forward with the knock-up, ignite down too. Pepsi time getting really low, and that's going to be the kill. No shields for the MF, and that's going to be getting excited on the Jinx. 376 going back in, maybe a little bit too early, as here comes the Jarvan, but it's too late. The flash QE instead of the EQ. 874 with a big mistake on that one. Heal's going to come through, and a guy is coming in for the cleanup here, trying to get at least a little bit of orbs. Oh, turnaround onto Sharp Otter for the kill, but it is 2-0 on the Jinx, and double buffs for the Jinx at 4 minutes into the game.
That's pretty disastrous. That is 900 gold up on the AD carry for the side of G&D. Wow. It feels bad as Kayn because like you didn't get to hit anyone, so no orbs for you. But like that could not have gone any better for their bot lane.
Absolutely, and Jinx is one of those champions that you do see as a snowball AD carry, so if she does start getting ahead, she can continue to do so thanks to the resets. Jinx, Phoenix really doing a great job so far. And already Jarvan going in, flag and drag. Here comes Ventry, as they're just gonna pop this Kayn, put that Twink back into the grave, and send it back to the fountain.
That is one of the weaknesses of Kayn. Pre-level 6 and pre-form, he is just like a minion. Like, he is not very good on his own. There's just about any jungler that could solo kill him in that situation, so
whoa,
the 2v1 is very punishing. Ooh, if that was under tower.
That was very close. Yeah, 376 is already kind of giving up on the bot lane there and trying to go for plays in the mid, see what can happen there. And luckily does not get hit by the bind under the tower. As I believe Pepsi of Time is just going to be playing onto the weak side for the time being until those level 6s come through on the bot side.
Yeah, and it's a weird situation too, because like you have a Misfortune and a Leona, like they want to team fight early. You cannot just like sit back and let the Jinx out farm you. Like she's Jinx. She's gonna run away with the game. So I feel like we're gonna start seeing maybe some more jungle pressure and potentially mid roams towards the bot side, because there is a push happening, and you know, it's this is gonna get rough if Jinx just gets the run of the bot lane. He does scale pretty well, I think, is the consensus.
Ooh, here comes
that
Shurima
was
Shuffle
so good.
into the Jarvan. Doesn't have the Cataclysm, but it doesn't matter. Carnage and Pain, they want to give it to the Azir, and the Azir will pick it up. Ventry getting a kill for himself here. And everything coming up, GSG in the mid lane here is Lux already starting to struggle with the attention.
That Azir ult was like fantastic. That was so good. I thought it was bad to like as soon as I saw it, but just clipping the wall there so that she has to walk all the way around because she already burned her flash is just very good. So the bot lane's going well, but that is a 2-1-1 Jarvan who's putting in some work early, and Azir does scale pretty well also.
Yeah, Jarvan doing what he does best, which is early game pressure and keeping the tempo up. It is just, can that outpace what Jinx has been able to do so far in this game? Because she has been extremely strong, and Jinx will take over a game if given the opportunity.
Yeah, she's still comfortably sitting at 900 gold up on the Misfortune.
Ooh, Engage coming onto the bot side. Sharpwater getting the knockup onto Pepsi of Time. Here comes a guy. Here comes a Lux ult as well. Carnage Japan 376 going to sacrifice himself for the kill, and I think they're going to actually give this one to a guy instead of the Jinx again, but that is more orbs for the Kayn and more money for GSG Amethyst. GSG Amethyst. Gianni, look, I suck at my job.
GSG Amethyst.
Look, best of both teams, really.
Yeah, they formed a super team like Voltron.
Yeah.
Oh, is this a dead Misfortune?
Ooh, Flash is going to come through. Ult, super mega death rocket goes wide. And Phoenix, though, it is still getting the flash. It is still forcing this MF into a position where she cannot farm under her own tower.
Yeah, she's just barely getting experience, but like, woof, that is a rough time as the Misfortune. Man, they got Dragon off that. That's pretty good. Let's check the gold. Yep, that is about 1,300 gold up on Jinx over Misfortune, and that is substantial, because a lot of it hasn't even been spent yet, and they're still winning the trades.
That's the scariest part. This Jinx is going to go back, get a pickaxe, get a crit cloak probably here, and really, oh no, going for the tier 2 boots. And
that's smart.
Yeah, just trying to keep the pressure on. 874 not letting this up, though, as he is going to take the Rift Herald onto the top side. Maybe see if a mid or top lane gank can open up the map a little bit more for GSG Sigma. Another one! Another great Shurima Shuffle, and here comes a guy, but the mid laner's already dead.
No.
Cataclysm gonna go down. 874 picks up a double kill. And Jarvan is online. He is ahead, and that is exactly where you want him to be with the Rift Herald as well. Lots of gold being funneled into this Azir.
Yeah, it's a mild bummer that Azir didn't get either of those kills, but also like it doesn't matter. He's getting so much gold with these plates. He's still ahead. Lux is missing farm. That's like, whew, Edie. It's gonna be a battle of two really hard scaling champions, but they're very different, and it's gonna be so interesting to watch going forward. Oh yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want to actually posit for you here. There are two Fed members right now on GSG Sigma. It is the Jarvan and the Azir, because if you look at the gold values here, Azir is up about 1,200 gold. Jarvan is up about 1,400 gold. Meanwhile, it is just the Jinx up about 1,300 gold here. Is that going to be enough? There's the bullet time. Sharp Otter just goes down immediate, or sorry, takes the kill onto 376. This bot lane once again gets things going extremely well and trying desperately to keep their team into this game.
The thing is, I don't value the Jarvan being fed super highly because he does fall off pretty hard in the late game, especially because if you're smart, you're gonna like. There's a thing that's happening where a lot of pro players are building, they're building their mythic item and then they're just going Zhonya's immediately after because like your whole job is to just dive, engage, and then maybe survive afterwards. So it's like, yeah, he's strong and he's doing very good. And then if they can continue pouring these leads elsewhere, it's gonna kind of not nullify the Jinx, but it is gonna give you a tool to match it later. But yeah, I do actually think him having all of that gold is kind of a misstep.
Ooh, flash face breaker there. Bleed and Feed trying to tank the tower. Gonna have to wait and use that shield as a guy comes in, picks up the kill, slides and spins his way back out of there and picks up a nice amount of orbs onto this Aatrox. This has to be, you know, looking for the red form Kayn as 874 gonna show up, but there are 2 people to the 1, and it's not a fight you want to take just yet.
Yeah, he's strong, but he's not that strong. I think he probably could have, if he landed that knockup, he probably could have killed both of them. He had ult, but you know, oh, good flash.
Flash.
Yeah, it is. In the mid lane. It is. It's nice to see that they're like recognizing like, okay, Jinx is gonna run over Misfortune. There's nothing really we can do about that. They've tried engaged on her and it just doesn't work. And she has Gale Force now, so that's an extra, you know, dash that she can dodge out of things with. So they're sending Leona up to mid lane, and it, like, if they get that pick, that's a tower, and you get the first tower over Jinx. So like, I do like the attempt. It's very, yeah, it's nice to see that it's not just, oh, one member of their team is fed, we're probably gonna lose. It's all right, we're gonna get our Azir fed. So yeah, it's good to see.
Hullbreaker, the immediate pickup with the side detour for the Executioners, calling on this set. Yeah, really just trying to keep control of this Aatrox as much as possible in this top side. So far, it seems to be doing pretty well. Bleed and Feed able to trade pretty effectively here. Trying to keep going. There is the Q for the move speed, but not going to be enough. Ooh, Red Kayn is completed. There's the charm onto 376. Big bullet time, but there is the Humble Trespass to make sure that a guy stays alive. Luxalt goes wide. Ventry is backing away, using those soldiers to get himself out, and it is overall just a kill onto the Leona and Dragon pressure for GNE Amethyst.
Yeah, it's probably just Dragon. I mean, I don't know how you would contest this as them. Yep, there you go. But yeah, so again, this is their oh.
Ooh.
Okay, so this is their strength. They're a team fight comp, but they do have so much pick. They have so just much ability to finish off kills, get these Jinx or resets. And it's hard to keep chasing into an Azir who can just put up a wall and dash away from like 2 screens. But again, like they're playing, like both teams are playing to their strengths and recognizing like, okay, well if you're strong here, we're gonna go over here. So this is a pretty fun game. The gold lead is only about less than 2k difference, even though multiple people in this game are a lot stronger than their counterparts, and Rost has kind of caught up in gold. I mean, he's still down like 1200 gold, but once you have that Gore Drinker, like it's really not that big a difference.
I like how you're like, yeah, he caught up. He's still down about like over 1,000, but he's caught up in gold here.
Well, that's like a thing with junglers right now. Is unless you're playing like a really hyper carry assassin-y jungler, it kind of doesn't matter. There's a reason that junglers tend to have the lowest like damage percentages and gold shares on their team, is because they set up for their team. That's their whole job. They're like supports, but they kill things.
Here comes the Shirellia on to Sharp Otter here.
Oh.
And that is going to actually be the miss. There is 874 going in. Big flag and drag, but not enough yet. There's the Cataclysm, but only on to the Rakan there. 874 has to flash away. Here come the resets for Jinx. Phoenix is big. He is very squishy, though, and has to flash away from Ventries. Sharima shuffled. Sharp Otter going down low. Pepsi Time wants to go in there. There's the flash. Bullet Time getting the flash out of Sharp Otter. And Phoenix, so great stuff all around. As it is going to be red team GSG Sigma picking up a tower for themselves to try and go in. There's Ventry going forward. There is the Ignite shutdown on the Jinx, and Azir comes out 700 gold richer.
Woof. All right, that's a pretty fun game. Yeah. So it's weird. I feel like GSG could have won that even harder, but they burned so much of their engage on the supports and people who aren't Jinx. Jarvan ulted not Jinx.
Otherwise
Leona
known
ulted
as
not
supports.
Jinx. Yeah. Jinx is the target. If Jinx dies, their whole team fighting is just over. Lux has a Ludens, but really isn't gonna like carry a team fight off of that, especially with how far ahead Jarvan is. So Jinx, go for Jinx. But yeah, so okay.
Ooh, these final sparks have not hit as much as you'd like to see. A guy gonna back away after picking up Rift Herald. Is actually Sharp Otter that picks the Rift Herald up. So maybe a little bit of a difference in terms of where they are going to put that down because of where the support needs to be versus the jungler, but things are starting to open up around the map, so maybe not gonna matter too much.
Yeah, so you do have a Hextech Soul on the map, which, you know, I think they've nerfed it since it first came out. It is actually one, like statistically, it's one of the weaker souls that you can have. It's still like, you know, it's got like an 80-something% win rate, so it's still fine. Like if you get a Hextech Soul, you're not gonna be mad about it. But so like, but I do think you can continue allowing them to try to stack Drakes if you can trade other things on the map, because you have this mid lane open. So if they go to Dragon, you can take a tower elsewhere. That's some tangible gold that you can use on items. And being like, they have so much damage indexed on just the Jinx, and then onto the Lux, who you can dodge all of her damage. So if you dodge Lux ult and Jinx is on Dragon, there's so many. It's if you could just pop the Jinx, it's so easy. The win con, again, for GSG is so easy, and that's what they drafted for. It's not the strongest thing in the world in all those situations, but it's really easy, and that is definitely worth something.
Yeah, and I think another thing to keep in mind here is the amount of healing that has been purchased for all of GSG Sigma. You've got the Gore Drinkers on the Jarvan, on the Aatrox, and the Eclipse on the Misfortune. So definitely keeping a lot of extra healing on all of the important people right now. As Hullbreaker is starting to do some work, the Epic Champion not able to stop this set. Bleeding Fiend wants to go for the tower dive. There is the showstopper. Bleeding Fiend going to use that shield to stay alive. Pepsi of Time taking a big chunk off the final spark there. Knock up onto 376. You are not a tanky friend there. Bleeding Fiend, though, getting caught out by 874. Probably going to go down here. There is the auto attacks. 874, just hit him, buddy. That is going to be the kill. Shut down also onto the Rakan, as Dragon is alive and ready to be taken for the side of GSG Sigma.
So my gut reaction was that this should just be a Genie Dragon, but also Bleeding Fiend did die there, so Aatrox has teleport. He should be able to get there first. They do have control over this Dragon Pit. It's going to be up to a Cane Steal, which is pretty easy. Just walk.
There is a nice little push there, but it is still stolen by the Jinx ult. Sinister Phoenix are trying to get a lot of damage down. 874 does not actually die. There is the kill. Sinister Phoenix getting excited, but maybe a little bit too late, as he will go down. Epic Champion is actually the one that picks that one up, and while they do lose the dragon, they do win the fight, but it is soul point for Genie Amethyst.
Yeah, it's 2 for 1. There weren't any shutdowns, I don't think, and I mean, again, you get the third dragon, which is so important because you have so much pressure. Dragon or Baron should be coming up pretty soon too, so it's Yeah. It's so close. It's so hard to say which team has the edge here because I think in the straight 5v5 that GSG probably do come out strong, but also there's no gold lead basically. It's like 600 gold and soul point is nothing to sneeze at. So oh no.
Yeah. Oh, Sharprider just got a 1v1 here.
Uh,
That is a scary recon.
Shut down on the recon though. I don't know.
It's better than
It
not
almost feels
getting
like
the
it would have been more
shutdown.
worth it to let him go, and then maybe you put the shutdown on Jinx or something. I don't know. I mean, yeah, a kill's a kill is a kill is a kill, but still.
Cannot argue with that logic. It certainly does.
It rhymes.
Yeah. You know, I don't think saying the same word over and over again constitutes it being a rhyme, but I'm gonna let you.
Kill and still.
Okay, yeah, that one's a rhyme, but you. I thought you were talking about a kill's a kill's a kill's a kill, which is
So still.
Oh my god. A guy going in on the Epic Champion. There is the World Ender as he's going to try and run away. The move speed maybe going to be enough. There is a nice ult from 376 as you see Epic Champion trying to stay alive, but the healing is matched. A guy, he's going to out heal you. He is the better healer. And now 874 going in on Bleed and Feed, who has been caught out. Nice face breaker. There's the Grit Shield for some damage. Ventry has to flash away. Showstopper is actually not going to get the kill, but just barely, as Ventry will get help from the team, but 3 people bot means the Baron's going to be started by G&E Amethyst.
Yeah, if Jarvan shows bot lane, that's a free invitation to the Baron pit for you. There's pretty much no way they're going to get there in time to contest it. They might be able to clean up kills after the fact, but that doesn't look like what's going to happen. Although
376 is going in. There's a big bullet time splitting up the rest of G&E. That is 376 staying alive. The Jinx is actually going to go down. 874 picks that one up. TP's coming in. Sharp Otter is having to run away. Gets the shield. Dash over to Carnage and Pain and will stay alive. And it is the Baron picked up for G&E, but it is still GSG Sigma winning the fight overall, and it feels like while one team is going to win an objective, the team fight seems to go the opposite way.
it's so cool. These teams have clearly like different objectives, and that's so interesting to watch this play out. One team wants these neutral objectives, and they realize like, okay, we're gonna hit a break point where Set's gonna be really hard to kill. Jinx is gonna be Jinx, and like Lux does do damage if she can get a few items under her belt. So it's so interesting to see these two different win comps play out because like GSG is trying to force these team fights as much as they can and catch people out, but it is so it's hard to say one team has the edge too because objectives are going over. But so are kills, and so are towers and stuff. So it's such a neutral game state for so long.
I do want to give the caveat that because the gold is still in favor of G&E and they are getting the objectives, that the gold lead being close is maybe a little bit of a misnomer there because you're looking at the value of things like these 3 dragons, like the Baron being picked up and the stats that that's going to give you. Right now, it seems like it is G&E in the driver's seat, but there is a lot of pulling and pushing and prodding to steer this car into a ditch from GSG Sigma.
I don't think there's any cars in League of Legends.
No, Mundo drives a car. Corporate Mundo.
That's in a skin though. That's a good point. You got me.
Yeah.
Fair play.
I don't know if it's a real car. It doesn't seem to really sound like a real car.
It's probably one of those little Hot Wheels, like
yeah,
the
wind-up clown cars.
No, I was thinking the one that kids.
Here comes Bleeding Feed. Big face breaker there, and that is the shutdown. And Lux ult coming through. Bleeding Feed's going to go down, but he has done his job. Sinister Phoenix is going in. He is going to ignore the jar, but he's going to go on to 376, get the reset, getting excited. Ventry's going to dash away, and he's going to be Epic Champion going down at the end of it with a double kill onto Phoenix and moving over to that Dragon Soul that they so desperately would like.
My scoreboard is super bugged. Oh, okay. That's interesting. But yeah, so 3 for 1, good for them. I was so confused. On my screen, it's showing that Kayn and Jinx are dead, and so is Jarvan. So every time something happens, I'm like, okay, well, it's a 2 for 1 for.
Ooh, no, Jarvan is in. Here comes the steal. It is stolen away. 874 saves the late game here and will take up one. Sharp Otter also going to go down to 874, maybe trying to turn this one around, but does not have the help just yet. There's the flag and drag for the armor shred. 874 guy going back and forth. The flash away from the knockup. 874 trying to turn this one around. He gets a 3v1 and steals the dragon. Who is he? He is the 10-3 Jarvan, and he's nuts.
That's wild. Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Woo. Okay. So that's a fed Jarvan. He just 3v1 casually, as you do, naturally. Wow.
I've never not
so that
3v1'd
item
in my
differential
life.
coming in strong. Sorry, what was that?
I said I've never not 3v1'd in my life.
Yeah. You always win those.
Always win those. Just jumps in, says, "Don't worry, guys, I got this." Comes out 3 kills richer alongside a Hextech Dragon, and another 5 minutes until that Dragon Soul can be picked up for GNE. 376 gonna back away. Reset, get some more gold. Let's take stock here of items. And if there's anything that you are kind of a little bit surprised by, 874, actually, hang on. We are going to get another fight there. Bullet time going to go in, and it's not going to hit anybody. 874 gets the flag and drag to get away from the final spark, and it's just going to be the resets coming through.
Yeah, so, I mean, as far as items go, Aatrox is a little behind the curve, but Kayn is pretty far behind Jarvan here. That's 3.5 items for Jarvan and 1.5 for him, and that is not a great feeling. He is working towards that Death Dance, and he will be a lot harder to kill, but I do think it's weird that the only person on the team, or I guess now, only 2 people on the team with Grievous Wounds are Set and Khan. Like, they have an Aatrox and a Jarvan who's super fed and has 2 lifestealy items. Like, it feels weird that you haven't built more by this point, but, you
Counterpoint.
know, to each their own.
Counterpoint.
Yeah.
Rakan can give people the ability to apply Grievous Wounds, and he can do it.
Yeah, but
he can do it across
applying
multiple people because he has 2 charges of the shield and the Shirelias.
I mean, that's fair, but still, like, in that situation where Ross was trying to 1v1 the Jarvan and couldn't because he was healing so much from the Death Dance with the Gore Drinker.
Oh yeah, that just sucks. Yeah, that just is a feel bad moment there.
So Death Dance does get completed by Kayn, so that's good to see. So pretty much just 2 items across the board for every single person on GNE, and you do love to see that. Same thing for GSG. So it's going to be interesting going forward to see how these team fights shake out, because it's... Oh boy, if that dragon had gone over to GNE, that would have been... I don't think they would have just straight won out, but coming up on this Baron fight, it would have been a heck of an advantage.
Yeah,
and running away from an excited Jinx who has Hextech Soul is just impossible.
Yeah, Baron posturing coming through now with the vision coming down. Ventry trying to keep the pressure up in this mid lane with the push. Bleeding Feed still split pushing on that bot side, and Ventry's just going to use that tower, try and get some damage down onto the Rakan and provide some pressure that allows for the possibility of a Baron push in the next couple minutes.
So I really like what they're doing by sending Set to the bot lane. He still has teleport. Both top laners do.
Oh no, Final Spark's actually going to hit there. Nice binding by Carnage and Pain. And a quick death for Ventry, who's going to go down. And now Bleeding Feet getting a nice face breaker. Going in onto the Epic Champion. There is the World Ender from the Aatrox, and he's going to back away. The Grit Shield damage being way too much to handle.
It's a strong Set. But yeah, it's so smart to send a bot lane because he's going to win the 1v1. So if they send anyone to match him bot lane, he's not going to get that turret, but they're going to have a free Baron. Though they are just...
Oh, big bullet time. It is doing so much damage. And now Guy tanking up the Baron. That is 3 down, actually, now. Sharp Otter, Carnage, and Pain, a Guy, but the push there. Hull Breaker is a good item, believe it or not. And Bleed and Feed is still running train all over this Aatrox, and while they can't go for the Baron for GSG, they can stall out another 5 minutes on the Hextech Soul.
Yeah, I don't know why they turned off the Baron there, unless you get like a full pick on someone. That is just not what you're supposed to do. Um, yeah, so you lose control over Dragon Pit, so that's another dragon going over to GSG. I mean, Set got a top lane or bot lane tower, so in an inhibitor, so that's great. You have some pressure there. So probably gonna start sending him top lane, or just sit him mid, either one. But it was such a bad team fight from the side of Genie. Woof, hard to see.
Yeah, and this Jinx has had some trouble getting damage down. The threats of the Jarvan and the Azir are pushing her away. Bleed and Feed has been really influential despite the scoreline. Massive face breakers, massive split push pressure. As we're going to see vision control being taken back by GSG Sigma. Baron, the only neutral objective on the field.
So he saved his teleport, and he's going straight back bot lane, because putting that hull breaker buff onto a upgraded siege minion with the inhibitor being down, that thing is not dying anytime soon. So like, he's going to start getting chip damage. You're gonna have to send someone bot lane. So now they should start going onto the Baron now.
That they will. G and E now going and trying desperately to start this fight out, as it is now. Ooh, great bind there. Pepsi Time has to use the cleanse, and now meanwhile on the bot side, Bleed and Feed is pushing in onto the tower, trying to keep pressure on, but not going to be enough. There's World Ender once again popped and keeping this set away. Aatrox finally, with the help of the tower, is able to hold on.
Yeah, that is some substantial damage onto the tower too. That's not nothing.
Yeah, Barry gonna start back up here now. Ninja Bay keeping the pressure on. Bleed and Feed still pushing in 376. They see him going on to the other side. Here comes an engage. Big Cataclysm. Big bullet time across 3. And that is a massive bout of damage. As a triple kill from the Jinx. They turn it back around. Bleed and Feed TPs in and says, wait a second. You guys already got this one.
Mid. Yeah, you just go mid. End the game. Like, that's... Oh, wow. That looked like it was going so well for GSG, and then just... Oh, man. The Jinx AoE rockets with Runans and the Lux ult and the Jinx ult. Oh, that is so much damage. That was a true, like, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me moment. Oh, man, that was so good. They're going to win off it.
Yeah, and that will be the game. As you said, it is GNE taking game 1 in what seemed to be a lot closer of a game, but one final fight at the end of it just pushed GSG over the edge. A great game 1 for us here, as we do see things going just so wild right out the gate.
That was a banger. I loved it. More of that, please. That was so cool. That was both teams recognizing that they had a win con and playing straight to it. That was so cool to watch.
Absolutely there. And I mean, overall, it felt like Genie, while they did have the main amount of control over this game, it still felt like GSG was punching back at every point and making sure that Genie were not getting things for free, were not able to just win fights out and completely snowball out of control. But man, at the end of it all, just the split push pressure from this set forcing GSG's hand in a way that did not work out for them.
Yeah, that set was a game changer. The pressure that he had split pushing, he took the tower down from like 275%, like knocked 2/3 off of it, and just while Aatrox was hitting him the whole time, it didn't matter. He was just taking it down by himself, and that level of pressure just meant like they had to send someone there, or they were just going to lose the game. And so after like he gets low and backs off, he's gonna come back because so much regen. Azir has to go contest Baron. You can't just give that for free. And because they had so much pressure on them, like we have to engage or they're going to get this tower or get this Baron and Set's going to take the Nexus. They just didn't like it was a really good engage, but it wasn't the perfect engage, and that's what they needed to wait for. And there was a lot of pressure put on by the set that enabled that.
Absolutely, but that is game 1 now finished and in the books with G&E taking that one. We're going to see how the teams are going to reset and apply themselves for this next game. In game 2, we are going to take a quick break as we get ready for that one, though, because, man, these players need it, and it is going to be a banger of a night, guys. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back with the draft for game 2. Hello and welcome back, everybody. We are getting ready for game 2. Teams have reset, reapplied themselves, and now they're going to be getting into the draft here in just. Evan, what are you looking to see from these teams? Because, man, game 1 seemed to have a lot of things.
Set man, probably. Seems like a pretty safe option. He's pretty good at set. So yeah, I mean, unless you have like a direct counter to it, I don't think it's safe to let it through again because it's so much pressure. It's not 100% that they'll pick the same kind of comp, but we did expect going into it that it is going to be like a pretty standard picky team fighty comp, and the split push set works so well, and he was also really good in team fights. So I do think it's smart to ban that. So we'll probably see a Zach and a set ban. Zach is probably not going to get through this series. So yeah, set probably coming in next, and Darius too. He does play a bunch of Darius, and it would probably do about the same thing as he did last game, so it does make sense. As far as anything else goes, I don't know. There wasn't any huge problem. If you're on the side of G&E, like maybe you ban the Jarvan. It's just a strong pick, so yeah, they haven't banned set yet, but also like you do not first pick your top laner, so it's actually fine to let that through for the first round. I don't hate it.
Seraphine gonna be lock-in now, as that could be a mid Seraphine. Probably gonna be a support Seraphine, I would assume, unless you have knowledge otherwise.
I don't think so. They play a lot of enchanter supports, so it's probably a bot lane or support.
Yeah, so early pick up on the Seraphine support here, and now Bane is just immediately locked in. G&E are feeling confident, man.
Whoa! Okay. That is certainly a champion that you could pick. I have a thought. What if it's a flex? What if you should pick it, and then you pick your support, and like, I don't know, like a Jarvan or something, right?
Option.
Yeah, because they have last pick, so you could do everything else, save top lane for last, and then if you like the matchup, you send Vayne top lane, pick a hyper carry, and then boom, there you go. So it's a cool thing. And with Senna, could be AD carry, could be support. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I love these kinds of drafts where you're like, we have multiple flexes. Pick whatever you want. We'll adjust. It'll be fine. All right, now we have to talk about all of the hovers he just did.
I don't think we do. Gonna be the most locked in, so lots of pressure on this bot side. Once again, GSG kind of going for that level 6 kind of womp late, whereas G&E, they have that dueling pressure, they have that bot lane power built into themselves here.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart to just pick your bot lanes first right now. There's not any hard counters. There's not really any super OP picks in the bot lane, so it is really smart to just get those out of the way, because you can then save the counters for a little bit later on in the draft. And then the same thing with jungle, like, there's just strong junglers everywhere at the moment. Anybody who's good at early game, getting an advantage, and is okay in team fights, pick them early. It doesn't matter. They're not going to be countered. So I do like their draft. Picking bot lane and jungle first just is smart. Huh. Okay.
I mean, it does give a lot of protection for this Vayne and Senna, right? That it is a front line and a great ultimate for peeling specifically if needed that way.
All right, I'm calling my shot. Right. I'm gonna move support. Send an 80 carry. Vayne top. That's my shot. Calling it.
You take a lot of weird shots, Gavin. Gonna put that one out there. Now, one thing that does kind of raise an eyebrow for me here, Xin Zhao alongside the MF ultimate seems a little bit like it could be a counter synergy in and of itself. There's the possibility of that. This is why, despite being a Bard main, I will not pick Bard with a misfortune, because I will inevitably be flamed by my team when I try and ult first and then MF ults and then I get flamed for that one. It is never my fault, as we all know supports are infallible.
Yeah. I don't have a counterpoint. That's just right. Good call. Yeah, so we do see the set pick coming out, or the set ban coming out, and again, really smart. Just get that out of the way. It's really hard to deal with against someone who knows how to play set really well. So yeah, I do think, so if it's not Vayne top, like I hope and think it should be, I think maybe like a Shen would be pretty good. You have protection for your Vayne, and he's just good into basically every lane. Oh, they're doing it. They're saving top hit for last, and they could still flex it. Love it. So yeah, they still have pretty good team fighting. Senna's pretty okay at team fighting, not the best, but I mean,
when you have a Vayne,
Orianna is just woof.
Yeah.
So yeah, this will be interesting to see how GSG go. Aurelia's an interesting pick to blind. Okay.
I mean, it may be going mid, so it would not be a blind pick if that is what the plan is. And Irelia into something like the Orianna can be pretty effective.
They need some magic damage though.
Seraphine does magic damage. Come on.
I was like, okay. Alright. Okay.
There you
we
go. There's your magic damage, and it is going to be the Vladimir here, which does
They can't
mean
flex it, yeah.
they can swap this either way, depending on what they get for this final pick. Like you said, the Vayne could be the top laner, or it could be the bot laner. Which is it going to be?
And it's interesting too now because you have to pick a top laner that's good into early and Vladimir, which off the top of my head, yeah, I was hoping we'd see Riven. So yeah, that's rip to my Vayne top conspiracy theory. But yeah, so does play a fair bunch of Riven. So this is gonna be a fun matchup. I genuinely don't know who's gonna go top lane for the side of GSG. It could be either one. But Riven is just like, hey, whooped you last time. I'm gonna do it again in style this time. Love it.
Oh my goodness, here. We are underway here on.
Organizing.
We are waiting. An oopsie whoopsie here. Getting the actual draft ready, but I mean, so fun fact that a lot of people don't realize, I think, is Riven is my favorite champion in the game. Despite the fact that I am a support main, and despite the fact that I cannot play Riven for utter anything, I adore Riven as a champion, and I am excited to see this. And now, wait, what matchup as a Riven player are you hoping for here?
Probably Aurelia, if I had to guess. Like you could probably do fine into both. You would have a lot of kill pressure on Vladimir early, but I think Aurelia would probably be better because it's a lot safer of a lane for Orianna too to play against a Vladimir. But yeah, honestly, you find into either one because Aurelia or a Riven can force Vlad to use pull pretty early by doing a lot of damage early and then have so much follow up. And she also doesn't have any mana, so it's not like Vlad can do the thing where he tries to out-sustain you because he doesn't have mana. He can just do that. Can't do that against a Riven. It won't matter. So I do think she actually does better into Vladimir, which is almost like a really smart thing to do because then like if Orianna is saying like I don't want to play against an Aurelia, can you please pick something that has to play against Aurelia? So yeah, it's I don't know if that was the plan, but it does look like it's going to be Aurelia top. I think that is locked. So yeah,
they can swap it. They do have the opportunity to swap it and mess around. I think till the 20-second mark is where we have it defined in our rules.
They wouldn't do that. Only villains do that.
Only villains do that. Now, so team fighting from G&E Amethyst, pretty freaking good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not the best. Vayne and Senna are kind of weird in team fights.
They're very hit or
So
miss.
it's interesting. It's interesting because their team fights are going to be basically Amumu going in, Orianna ulting on top of Amumu, and then Riven kind of following up, and you know. But into a Xin, that's really hard to do because you can just press R, and then the 3 range champions just aren't allowed to do damage to him, as well as Vlad being super hard to engage onto. As soon as he sees the Amumu come in, he just press W and float away. So I actually do think it's going to be really hard for G&E to engage these fights. They almost need to just like split the map open and try to catch people out and do weird skirmish stuff, which I actually think they have the capacity to do. Their level of like communication and teamwork in the last game makes me think that that is something they could recognize that they need to do and actually execute it. And then on the side of GSG, they're a lot more. They're like, we're going forward, we're scaling, we're gonna win team fights, and I think maybe after last game, you just recognize like, okay, we need to contest objectives more because that's where they're gonna be, and if we can win these early skirmishes, their champions do kind of fall over if they fall behind in gold pretty hard. So I think maybe we'll see a little bit more skirmishing in the early game this game.
Yeah, lock in are completed here now as we are going to get the 3-minute timer. And overall, I mean, are there any lanes that you're looking at and saying, oh no, this could go really poorly, really badly, or, you know, especially depending on jungle pressure here, is there anything that you're really keeping an eye on and waiting to see what's going to happen?
Not particularly. Honestly, the most volatile top lane, or most volatile lane is top lane. Those are the only lanes in which one or both champions have some like immediate setup. Aurelia has her E, Riven has her everything. But like Orianna can't lock down a Vlad for a Mumu to get there. Vlad can't lock down an Orianna. Senna and Vayne can't lock down a Misfortune outside of some like weird Vayne angles. So it's like I don't know. It's honestly it's gonna be pretty just. There may be skirmishes, but there's not gonna be any dumb picks early. I don't think.
Very much so. Well, teams are locked in, teams are loading in, and we are loading in, but we're going to take a quick break to get that ready for you, and we will see you guys on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Game 2 is about to start. Hello and welcome back, everybody. We are now underway for our game 2 of the night. Teams are going to fan out once again. Nothing looking to come through for the level 1s for these teams.
So I mentioned it earlier. I don't think we're going to be able to see any, weird picks like we saw last game where like Rakan lands a clutch snare and they follow up with some CC. and they kill. But so I don't think we're gonna see any like 2v2 or 1v1 kills, but definitely around some objectives. I do think this could potentially be a pretty spicy team fight game because they're gonna want to skirmish a lot and try to get ahead. So I feel like the team that gets put behind is gonna be really hard pressed to find their way back into the game because they don't have those engage tools.
Things will just go down. Junglers starting. This time we're getting a bit of a mirrored start. Both junglers wanting to start on their blue buffs. Umu definitely known for wanting to have a blue buff in his pocket for the early game.
Yeah, it's hard to cry on people if you don't have mana. I know I can't cry if I'm out of mana.
That is why we always give the blue buff to Gavin, as he does constantly need it. Does seem to like we're actually seeing the Aurelia go the mid lane and the Vlad up into the top side here.
Oh, that's mean. All right. I mean, yeah. See, Riven kind of dunks on Vlad early, which is why I didn't think they would want to take this matchup. But all right. And I feel like Orianna does fine into Aurelia too. She's not gonna win lane anyway, so it's fine.
Apologies for the scoreboard bug, as we are seeing a bunch of teams or a bunch of players without items here. Fortunately, not something that I am really capable of fixing.
So if you open and close it again, or like close it and open again, it should kick back on.
There we go. Thank you, Gavin. Obviously,
yeah, so
riot employee knowing the game better than I do.
No, I had to figure it out last game. Yeah, so anytime we notice it frozen, just do that again. It's great. It's good times.
All right, there we go. Epic Champion getting a lot of pressure, but actually taking a lot of damage in response here. Corrupting Pot versus the Doran's Blade, so Epic Champion looking to get some power down onto this Orianna, but so far, Orianna holding strong.
Yeah, I don't expect anything too spicy. We can probably just go ahead and talk about some other stuff while these guys farm up, right? Anything happening that you're excited about?
I mean, I am looking at this Riven in the top lane because I love Riven, and I want to see successful Riven. I want to see what happens when Riven gets obscenely fed and how Bleed and Feed plays this one out, because playing Riven into a ranged matchup can be really rough. You are not experienced in it.
It can be, but she also does have the ability to like abuse him pretty early. If she gets on top of you, there is absolutely nothing you can do.
Ooh,
other
Sharp
than
Otter!
Woof.
Sharp Otter taking a lot of damage. This is the lethal tempo Vayne as opposed to the PTA, which does mean in-lane trading becomes a little bit less potent. One of the things about the Vayne power in lane is PTA proc, so I don't even need the PTA proc, because hitting W's, hitting the silver bolts with the Vayne will make things really annoying. Guy looking maybe to come down to this bot side. There is no vision, and that may turn into something here. A guy now 874 is actually in the alcove. Alcove gaming, and a guy goes in, gonna go on to the 376 and try and go for the kill. There is the barrier actually from the Seraphine. 376 staying alive, and now it is the chase down. There is the route onto the Xin Zhao. 874 has to back away, and so do the rest of the teams here, as GNE gonna end up going down there. Senna falling to 874. Xin Zhao getting first blood.
Yep. So like I was saying, I don't think we're gonna see anything spicy that doesn't involve junglers. I think they're gonna be kind of the catalyst for how these fights go. No, none of the teams outside of Senna and Vayne really have any way to lock anyone down for any amount of time. I think this.
That is just a kill. Okay. I was trying to figure out why my freaking Discord was apparently showing on the stream, and making sure that turns off is gonna definitely make sure that does not show. Don't know why that is happening.
That's fine. But yeah, that's why I don't think you should want to play Vladimir into into Riven. forgot the names of every champion there just for a second. Because like she can punish you pretty hard, and if you have to W out of that situation, it's a long cooldown that does way longer than her rotation, and also like you do have to sacrifice a bunch of health to do that. So it's just so hard to keep up in this matchup if the Revan feels confident and able to step forward. And like, so she's got the 12 farm advantage over the Vladimir, and Vladimir is so gated by items. I do think it was a huge misplay to send Vladimir up against Aurelia, like, or send up against Riven. If you just sat them in mid lane, like nothing would have happened, but both of you could have just farmed up safely and not worried about it. Unless Epichampion was like, I cannot play Aurelia into Riven.
Oh, Riven getting a nice little point into the Vlad here. A guy showing up to maybe do something, but a little bit too late. Riven has this one on lock, though, and Vlad already struggling up on this top side.
Yep. So, like, again, we're going to see this continue to happen. There's really no recourse that Vlad has against a Riven at any point. Like, you don't win that matchup. So I do think they're going to start sending 874 out to kind of towards the bot side, because again, you need to start focusing on these objectives, and Dragon's going to be pretty important to start stacking those. Here we go again.
Yeah, Riven going in does not have the ult or the Knight, so going to be a hot second before we actually see any kills coming out in the top lane again, I would imagine. Ventry's just going to hold on, do his thing, and become late game Vladimir, hopefully.
Maybe, if he gets there. We'll see. It is an if at this point. Uh-oh.
Ooh, there is the push in. Vlad probably having to back off of this one. Doesn't have the flash either, so if Riven does get on, there is no immediate out button other than the pool. There's also
burned it.
A guy also possibly looking here. Is he gonna engage? Gonna come through? A guy going forward. 376. Gonna get hit by the root. They're gonna go in. That is a massive Curse of the Sad Mummy. But Sharp Otter and Sinister Phoenix don't have a front line. They don't have anybody protecting them, and the damage leaks through. That is 2 kills going down. Bullet Time gonna come through. Double kill for Pepsi of Time, and 874 turning these fights around big time in the bot lane and getting Pepsi of Time some duly needed revenge.
Not sold on the Vayne Senna bot lane, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure what the thinking there was. And I know, like, they're getting ganked, so it's not like they're misplaying or anything, but, like, it gets, I don't know, like, it's hard to say, because I don't think any AD carry pushed up that far had a chance of getting out in that situation. But Vayne is a champion that, like, if she falls behind, like she is falling behind, it is so hard to be useful at any point in these games when you have an Aurelia jumping on you, when you have a Vayne or a Vladimir just pulling, and you have the long range engage. It's so hard for her to do anything, and I don't know what her role is going to be in these team fights going forward.
And now, a guy actually getting caught out a little bit. This is an Irelia that is pretty decently strong. There is the ultimate coming through. Carnage of Pain now not able to protect the Amumu, and maybe getting dove himself. Ventry going forward. Great shockwave. Ventry tanking up the tower hard. Uses the pool to stay alive. Maybe not going to get that Q off. There it is, 247. Gonna heal up, and Carnage of Pain gonna actually back away. Wolves playing the home field advantage for Carnage of Pain, and that is going to be the disengage, but still, Amumu going down once again.
Yeah, and Aurelia is kind of winning the lane harder than Riven is, and that's interesting. Man, it's so hard. There's so many decisions that are working, but in the wrong places in this game. It's very interesting.
Yeah, all over the place this game, and I mean, Jin Zhao does love those kind of crazy early game fights. He likes things to be hectic. That does allow him to kind of duel and utilize both the damage and tankiness he has. So far, 874 has been the menace on the map.
I think that guy was doing pretty well trying to go bot lane. It didn't end well, but yeah, it's hard as a Mumu if you don't have your ult to kind of win those team fights. And unlike having a misfortune follow-up, the follow-up of a Senna Vayne is very conditional, and if they can't reach the target that you just ulted, I mean, you kind of just ulted for nothing. So it's a lot harder, and we kind of said that in the last game. Like, it's like comp difficulty of execution is very important, and if you don't have that, it's a huge. Oh no!
That could have been big, but the flash came out too late. Epic Champion now getting engaged on by the Riven. Now the Shockwave actually keeps a guy from hitting the bandage toss. Another one comes in thanks to the charge, thanks to the buffs to Amumu. Great route onto Sharp Otter. Will go down to bullet time. Pepsi of time will pick that one up, and Bleeding Feet now jumping onto this Xin Zhao using that wind to get away. Flash over the wall. Bleeding Feet gonna follow with the flash himself. And now Riven massively in this game, and a huge problem that's gonna have to be dealt with by GSG.
It's kind of a flip of last game, right? Where like one lane on the other team is doing really well, and then every other lane on the other team is doing really well, and then who wins? In last game, the team that had the more fed carries, more fed champions, lost. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one shakes out.
Now things are going to slow down a little bit as we are waiting on the cooldowns, but Bleed and Feed, massive advantage in the top side here. 5,300 gold just about to the 3,300 on the Vladimir. 2,000 gold difference in this top lane.
And Vladimir is so gated by items. He is not going to be very useful until he gets, you know, a mythic item and a half. Is probably about when he starts being a menace. Being able to go in, Zonya, buy time for your cooldowns to come back up. He's very cooldown dependent, so if you can't rush that ability haste, then it is a problem. But I mean, there is plenty of way back for them. Like, misfortune ults in these games they have been hurting, and they have been hurting all series. So we're gonna have to see if they can just capitalize on that. And it does look like they're gonna start contesting towards this dragon, setting up vision, so they can start stacking them, and it's gonna be Infernal, so potentially some good souls on the menu coming up.
Yeah, Infernal up and about. 26 Bleeding Feet already around with the ball on. Yeah, there is the bullet time. Actually, that is a bit of a waste of a cooldown there. A major ability just before the Baron. Gavin, use solo cast. I'm done.
Yeah, I got it. So Kayn is the best champion in the game.
Okay, but with the dragon focus coming through here, Ventry does get a little bit of time alone on the top side to get a little bit of a catch up here. Phoenix also just going to move up 4 people on this dragon. Make sure that the soul is going to be a little bit later.
So it's all right. So it's COD Soul. That does actually work pretty well. I think both of these teams do really like the Cloud Soul. Again, for the side of G&E, it's pretty hard for Vayne and Senna to be a part of these team fights if they can't use that movement speed to get involved. So it's gonna be pretty good for them. But also, it's really hard to run away from a ulting Cloud Soul, Vladimir, and Xin Zhao. So good. We're gonna see some contests, I think, once these next dragons coming up once these dragons come up, because I think they're gonna start having to contest them really hard, because you cannot just give that soul up for free.
Absolutely. Epic Champion clearing out some vision. And first turret actually goes down to the Riven here. 15 minutes in, plates all down. And overall, just a top lane dominance here from Bleed and Feed, and that's gonna have to be dealt with at some point.
Yeah, it is. Man, it's so... Oh, this Riven, I don't think there's any tools to stop her from doing what she wants. Wow.
Like that?
Okay.
Speaking of the things that she wants, top lane to be her domain is the ones.
Alright, so the game plan is to let Bleed and Feed kind of run top lane, and then everyone else just do what you want. That seems to be the game plan for G&D. And it's working.
Oh, there is the ult from the Irelia. Epichampion backing away. There's the Senna ult, but in the meantime, Senna gets jumped on. Pepsi of Time picks a kill up. Epichampion just barely getting away. There is no shockwave to be had, and a guy forcing the flash from Epichampion there. Bot lane is still getting pushed hard here, and it seems like it is bot lane versus the top lane here. GSG trying to make the most of this misfortune.
Yeah, they're trading both sides of the map, and the towers, I believe, are even at the moment, and it's kind of hard to peg who has the advantage here, because a Fed Misfortune is very good, a Fed Riven is very good, and there's a lot of tools around both of them to let them succeed. So it is going to come down to these neutral objectives where the other teams are going to they're going to have to contest. They're going to have to be there as 5. I don't think you can just send Riven top lane and let GSG run away with taking every objective on the map. She needs to be there to contest these objectives. And so yeah, I think that's going to be what, in the next 10 or so minutes, I think we're going to start to see a major shift in one team to kind of taking control over the map as these neutral objectives start showing up on the map.
Absolutely. I think the first team to make team fights work is going to be really what we're going to look for. 376 has to keep an eye out. Bandage Toss barely missing there. Sharp Otter is going to push up onto the top side and give a little bit of extra help for this Riven.
I think if they can get this Herald, that's pretty great. If you can shove mid in, you'll get so much priority over that lane, and the ability to roam towards these objectives first by just pushing the waves in and forcing them to go either catch the waves or lose a bunch of golden experience, and then your towers start getting ticked down. So I do think both teams are kind of just ignoring it, which feels weird. It feels like it should be a higher importance objective than they're both just kind of letting it spawn and be fine. But still got 2 minutes. We'll see if they just decide to let the crap go. Oh no.
That is in Irelia jumping onto the van, and Sinister Phoenix just gonna go down immediately. Flash out from the bullet time in the mid lane. In the meanwhile, Carnage of Pain also not having a great time, and the tempo advantage is definitely all going towards GSG. Shockwave onto 376. That's just onto 1, and it's not onto a high priority member. An Epichampion putting on the best Riven cosplay that he can. Try to split push onto this bot side. Really feels like G&E are kind of losing out on the objectives here by focusing on this Rift Herald.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted them to get it, but I didn't want them to lose few towers off it, And they're also seeding dragon control, so they have vision set up. GSG have vision set up around, so they're going to be able to take control of this area, and it's going to be harder for G&G to get into that. There's not a lot of tools to be able to face check. If you accidentally walk into a Seraphine ult, it's oh no.
Ooh, there's a big Curse of the Sad Mummy there, as that is going to be the Bleed and Feed actually picking up the kill onto the Seraphine. Bleed and Feed now having to turn back around, doesn't have the R2 available, and that will be a kill. Big shutdown now as there is Misfortune picking up that one. Epichampion dashing all around, getting onto the minions. Pepsi of Time just running at him, doesn't need any of that fancy stuff. And the damage from this Misfortune is starting to get unreal.
Yeah, the Vayne pick is also starting to be a win. If you'll notice, full mana, full health, was not part of that team fight at all. Riven kind of had to go in, do all the stuff, and still died. Had Herald too, so they can't even, press the objective or anything like that. So it's, man, the Vayne is just, it's going to take a while for that champion to really do anything. And it's so hard for her to get into these team fights where Riven can get in, but there is some amount of CC and layering of AoE abilities that you can kind of knock her down before she gets to use her gold advantage to kill you all. So I don't know, it feels like one advantage is being neutralized and the other one is kind of letting it, being allowed to run free.
Absolutely, as we do take stock here. Baron, the only neutral objective up for the time being. Ventry has had a good amount of time here to catch back up into this game. Level 12 right now, but here comes Riven. Ventry. I cast a curse today. I apologize, my friend.
Riven's here, and it's probably going to be a tower unless they send multiple people to contest her. She has Herald. I'm not a huge fan of using it bot lane, but like, you know, whatever. If you've got it, might as well. Some gold on the map, and kind of opens you up a little bit more. And maybe able to get the second charge, but no, it looks like Aurelia's coming bot. Shouldn't be able to press it too hard. Although she...
Gotta ferry it in slow, actually. Coming in clutch and allowing for Irelia to show up. Leadenfeed wants to get this. This is kind of our big matchup right now. Irelia starting to get really strong, wanting to go in, but still a level down. Pepsi of Time also having to flash away in this mid lane. Instead of going forward, here's a big charm into the bullet time. You guys went too far. You weren't ready for it. And now bots lane, Epichampion actually having to flash away, keeping himself alive, but Riven is still pushing in. They did get that second charge through. And Ventry gonna try and clean that one up as the tower goes down. Oof! He's just better! A guy getting jumped on, Curse of the Sad Mummy, just to try and stay alive, but 874 dashes forward, helps Pepsi of Time pick up a kill, and Bleeding Fate is still winning! He stays winning! He's too good! You can't stop this Riven!
Man, it's so smart to send him bot lane because Aurelia has to be the one to match, and that is the strongest member on the team. And even then, you'll still lose the 2v1, or the 3v1, I guess, because Seraphine was there at one point. Woof! That is a strong Riven. And that is almost 3,000 gold in the pocket of Riven too. So that is basically a whole new, just bought a black cleaver, just a whole cleaver. Why not?
Hello,
you know?
I would like one cleaver.
Yeah, just one cleaver, please. I don't think they should have armor.
Armor? I barely know her.
Ha! Got him.
This is why they pay me the $5. Not the big bucks, the $5.
We're rolling in it. Medium bucks, average buck.
Yeah, can I get a medium buck meal?
We actually call that a tall buck.
Tall buck? A venti buck?
Yeah. No, that's just a $20 bill.
Here's what I know is...
Yeah, no.
Save time hanging on to this pixel bush, waiting for a face check, and Sharp Otter's gonna give it to him. Level 9. Goodbye, friend.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I'm not even gonna cast it. It's too depressing to watch.
Yeah, I'll practice the player commentary or the play-by-play when the 9-0 and 1 misfortune just takes down the Senna in, you know, like 1 second. Oh no.
Oh, Bleed and Feed getting over. Forcing the flash, does not get the wall jump there, but bullet time burned to keep Seraphine alive.
Kill, though.
Bleed and Feed wants it. Here's the R2, not gonna get it. Pepsi of Time having to back away. Here comes Ventry, only hitting the ult onto 2, but it is the Ori and it is the Riven. Big Curse of the Sad Mummy. Here comes Epichampion going in. That is a good Irelia ult there. Flashing forward is 874. There is one jump in. Epichampion not able to continue forward. Does get the 3 stacks on the minions and will try and keep them away as Dragon is spawning. This is third Dragon possibly for GSG as they have had most of the control of this pit.
Yeah, it's so weird because BSG and E have such good engage with the Amumu ults and the Orianna ults, and then absolutely no follow through. You know, Riven's burning everything, trying to duck and dance and dive and dodge around these carries, trying to like use her advantage, but she can't be the one to follow up if she's the one being a threat on the backline while you have the Amumu circling around trying to find a good engage. Because like Senna and Bane just like they are not doing anything in these team fights. This champion just does not do what Misfortune does and has like half the item, less than half the items. So it's so weird. I don't really know what the game plan here is for G&E to come back from this. Like, I know you send Riven to a lane to pull at least Aurelia to try to match. Like, that has to be 2 people to catch her, but
It's a
I
split
don't know
push
what
Riven
everyone else
angle.
is doing.
It,
But then what does the rest of the team do?
surviving. Speaking of surviving,
Uh-oh.
it is not 376 that is doing that. Bleed and Feed. Bleed and Feed
Uh-oh.
still has the R2 here and is actually going to pick up another kill here. Double kill for Bleed and Feed. And he wants more. He wants to 1v5. He doesn't care how many people. If they come one at a time, he will absolutely do it. Massive
so
crescent guard.
good!
874 just pushing them in. You don't need a Seraphine. All you just need to give him a little shove in. And the bullet time will do the rest. 10-0. Pepsi time is absolutely huge.
I mean, there's still an angle where Bleed and Feed can carry this fight, but man, that was such a good combination of ultimates between 874 and Pepsi of Time, because, you know, we said it was a counter synergy, but apparently not if you're really good at the game.
Yeah, Bleed and Feed actually still taking a lot of damage here, and the Death Stance helping out, but still, Pepsi of Time doing so much.
Pepsi of Time almost has 13,000 gold. By the way,
Pretty good.
that's pretty substantial.
That is about 5,000 gold above.
I was curious, right? Because I saw the little trade, just 89 gold from that one bit of damage onto the Riven. Like, that keeps happening, and she's so strong now that every time she Qs someone, that's like 50 gold right there. Man, it is... I don't know. Riven's fed, but I don't know if you can take down a 10-0-2, 13,000 gold Misfortune fed.
But if you're split pushing, do you need to? Because Baron is going to
See, that's the thing. I actually think split pushing is a bait because she needs to be able to pick someone and then take these weird team fight comps where she's like, he's picking one person at a time.
Baron getting low, 2,400 HP guy looking to go in. There it is. Red team has stolen it. It is actually the Orianna that picks it up. There's Curses that mummy, but it's just to buy time. Orianna saves the day. Carnage and Pain keeping the team alive for another couple of minutes.
That basically just kept them in the game. That is pretty fantastic. Wow. This game is the story of two people being really fed and everyone else kind of just along for the ride.
Absolutely. Now, as you can see, Riven level 17 to the 15 on the Irelia. And now Bleed and Feed going to go forward, get in, get the kill. Who is it going to actually be that picks it up? It is Bleed and Feed. And now what do you do, though? Because you get the kill, but you don't have minions to utilize here. Mid lane does have a lot of towers, but for all, it does feel like this Baron may not be used as effectively as you might want.
Yeah, it's interesting because Riven's kind of doing so well because she has this room, because she was splitting the whole game. There are no towers in top or bot lane, so you have this so much room to do these dumb chases that should not be able to work. But because you're so fed on Riven and there's no towers to get in your way, she can just chase you for a million years. But then I don't know what you do with that.
Yeah, it becomes a problem that needs some solution here. Senna is starting to scale up and get those souls, but still not going to be incredibly useful, as Bleed and Feed really just is the star of the show. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so she's got 80, which is, you know, pretty respectable. That's a decent chunk of souls. But I mean, she's the support. She doesn't have a ton of gold, so it's not like she's going to carry these team fights. Whereas I think everyone's like goal at this game is to just enable the Riven, kind of be a thorn in the side. Draw their attention just enough so that Riven can go in and do Riven things.
Yeah, now Engage coming through. Great shockwave. Big Curse of the Sad Mummy with Sharp Otter's ult over the tart. And now here comes a guy going down, but Bleed and Feed is ready. Pepsi of Time is low. Bleed and Feed is going to pick that one up. 1,000 gold to the Riven. Another kill. 874 going to go down, and that is actually the death onto Sharp Otter, as Bleed and Feed going to chase down this last kill. Ace for the side of G&E as they clean up a fight with a massive Engage with a guy's ultimate.
And after a very long while, the gold lead finally switches back to G&E. I was watching Sinister Phoenix the whole game, or the whole time, and he actually got to do things that fight. That was wild. He was finally able to get some damage out, and then by the time Riven got there, like the whole team was already low, and that was just a playground for her to press all of her buttons and get all of the kills. You love that as a Riven, like, oh, they're already low, they burned everything? I just get to do everything? Love that. So they're gonna get this Cloud Soul, or Cloud Dragon. It's gonna delay Soul Point, or delay Soul for GSG, and I think that might be a tipping point, you know? Vayne's got her 2 items. As long as she can continue to do, like, that team fight, I think, comfortably, if Bleed and Feed continues putting in work like this, I think they got this.
Yeah, this is starting to get scary. And like you said, it really just does depend if they can get that crowd control onto the Misfortune. That was the god fight for GNE, but GSG rather do still have power. They have the ability to generally get these fights more favorably with the bullet time.
And I think GNE are actually playing this really well. They're getting rid of all of the vision and having Amumu look for these weird angles, because, like, if they have to burn all of their escape and team fighting tools onto the Amumu, that is just free range for Vayne to go do her thing, and then Riven to come in after and just obliterate everyone. So it's going pretty well. Vayne's actually back into the game. Got 10k gold. Got a couple items. I think it's maybe looking like a GE comeback.
Quite possibly. But there still is the threat. Pepsi of Time is still massive. 5 items still sitting on the tier 1 boots. And you know what? I can't blame you. If you're just constantly getting that much gold, boots aren't going to give you much on a lethality Misfortune.
Yeah, like, your role in this game is to just press R and hope everyone dies. So getting to that point faster is just is a smart move. And Misfortune already has plenty of movement speed with her W anyway, so it is completely defendable and fine as an option. And Senna is 4 souls away, 4 souls away from hitting that 100 mark, and the range on that is pretty obnoxious.
Senna, very, very big at the moment. Bleed and Feed also just frontlining here. Don't need a tank if you have a fed Riven, because she is going to effectively tank for you.
And she's got the Randuin's, as well as Oriana Ball does give you stats if it's sitting on top of you, and it's so.
Oh no, the Flash Bandit's Trust misses. They're going
Got
into
2
the
of them,
bullet time.
though.
That's a massive one though, and it is the shutdown again. It is Bleed and Feed picking up the kills. The Death Stance keeping him alive for so long because of that burn. That is going to be Ventry going down, and that is going to be game 2. Going to G&E, picking up the win, picking up the series, and G&E, even when they're losing, they win. Massive props to them.
Yeah, huge props to Bleed and Feed for being like, no, we're not losing. We're not losing. That is, wow, 2 games in a row where he was like the deciding factor of Genie's win there. But yeah, really, honestly, really well played by both teams. I mean, the Misfortune was fed. It was just unfortunate, like, they didn't have the punchiness that they did in the previous game of, like, immediate CC. You had to worry about the Seraphine ult, which can hit a broad group of people, but it does take a minute to get onto them. So yeah, I almost wish they did take the, like, Jarvan or something like that. You know, they had that option, but yeah, so pretty good play by both players, both teams. But yeah, Bleed and Feed. Wow, what a series!
I mean, Bleed and Feed really pulled the team across to the finish line here. Even when things were looking bleak, even when things were looking out of reach, Bleed and Feed was constantly keeping the pressure on the set. That was just really, really threatening even in that 1v1. And then we saw it again with the Riven with even more carry potential. And what incredible stuff.
Hmm. And I mean, they had the draft to cover up the Riven, which is really cool. The Oriana speeding up and giving shields and keeping alive, Senna doing the same thing, and then the Amumu engage with the Oriana engage. It's just a lot of tools for burning enemy cooldowns and letting the Riven just go nuts. And it's really fun to see when that happens if you're not on the other team.
Yeah, I mean it's really fun to watch. Yeah, when you are not trying to push buttons against it, and unfortunately, man, the Amumu, all it had to do was hit that Curse of the Sad Mummy, and it gave all the opportunity in the world there for G&E to wipe it away. Massive stuff, and unfortunately, that does mean GSG are going to be going out, and G&E will be going forward into our next week of the playoffs. And I do not know exactly how the other games have gone or are going. So make sure you guys check in with that, and we will figure out what is going to be coming up next week. And we will see you guys next week for our next set of matches. I have been Thousand Eyes. That has been Gavin. Thank you guys all for watching, and we will see you next Monday.